Hello everybody, I'm Dan. Welcome to my Java tutorial series. Throughout my tutorials I will teach you Java using just Notepad and the command prompt. The order in which my tutorials are organized on both my website at javacjava.com and my YouTube playlist is designed to maximize learning by building on concepts from prior tutorials. This tutorial is about access modifiers, and specifically when we apply the access modifier public to a constructor. I'm going to open up my web browser here to javacjava.com, select Menu, then select Java OOP Tutorials. This is my Object-Oriented Programming Tutorials page. I'm going to scroll down to the public constructor. When the public access modifier is applied to a constructor, the following access is granted. Full access is granted to invoke the constructor from within the same package or from any other package. Here's some things to think about. Multiple overloaded constructors can have different types of access modifiers applied to them. In other words, if you mark one constructor as public, other constructors can be default, protected, or private access. Be mindful of the class access type. A standard outer class can only have either public or default access. A constructor with the same access type as the class is the norm. Constructors with a more restricted access may cause compiler errors if the class is inherited or initialized as an object. Public classes with public constructors can expose elements and members from other more restrictive classes to outside package access. Let's scroll down here, highlight this, hit Control-C, or right-click and select Copy. Okay. I have a shortcut to the command prompt on my desktop, but if you don't, you can create one really quick by right-clicking, selecting New, Shortcut, type in CMD, Next, and Finish. Just that easy. Let's open up our command prompt here, type in javac. Should see all this stuff scroll by. If you get an error message, watch my tutorial on installing the Java Development Kit. You want to make sure you get that installed and configured properly prior to continuing. CLS to clear the screen, CD space /, CD is short for change directory, / tells it to go to the root. I'm going to make a directory called Java using the MD command. I already have it, but if you don't, it'll create it for you. I'm going to change directories to the Java folder here, and this is my working directory, so I build all my packages and do all my test tutorials underneath here. I'm going to make a directory called 1, and I'm going to change directories to the 1 folder, which is going to correspond with the package 1. I'm going to notepad constructor1.java, okay, and hit Control-V or right-click and select Paste. Oops, I just double pasted that in there. Let's not do that. I missed the P when I highlighted that. Okay, so this is this particular constructor1.java has two classes in it, right? Tester and a public class constructor1. It's all part of the package 1, and we'll be importing packages from the two classes from the two packages, right? Using the import statement .star asterisk wildcard there. So our public class constructor1, and then we have our public keyword applied to its constructor right here, right? And it will simply call the super statement, and then it will display to the console public constructor in package 1. So fairly simple. Let's go ahead and make the code for the constructor2 in the 2 package. CD space .. We'll make it go down one directory. And let's type in MD2 and CD2. Okay, notepad, and actually before we do that, let's go ahead and come over here, grab our source code here for our package 2. And let's do notepad constructor2.java. Okay, we're going to ignore this completely right here for the moment, but basically we've got our package 2, right? And then I have a public class constructor 2, and I've applied the public access modifier to its constructor here, and it will just simply display public constructor in package 2. All right, let's go ahead and move this down just a hair here. We'll save it. Let's come back here to this. Okay, so in the class tester, which has our main method entry point, I'm simply going to create a new constructor1 object and invoke its constructor1 constructor, right? Which will then display public constructor in package1. And then I'm going to, using the new keyword, invoke a new instance of the constructor2 object and invoke its constructor2 constructor, right? Which will then simply display to the console public constructor in package2. Okay, fairly simple. Let's go ahead and make sure we got this saved, and let's clear our screen. Let's go down a directory here. I'm just going to type in javac1/constructor1, right? And now if you remember from my previous tutorial, we don't have to type in javac space 2/constructor2.java. And if we do a dir, which is a directory space /s, it will show us everything underneath there. And you can see now constructor2 down here has been compiled too, along with constructor1, because we got our bytecode for the constructor2.class and our bytecode for I am safe in package2 class. All right, and that's because of this import statement right here. All right, let's go ahead and clear our screen. And now we're going to call the Java virtual machine, and we're going to invoke the tester class in the one package. Okay. So we got public constructor in package1, public constructor in package2. All right, that looks great. I'm gonna pull back over my website here. We'll go up to the top, and so we've just proven that full access is granted to invoke the constructor from within the same package or from any other package. Okay, let's come back here. One of the things I wanted to actually talk about was this last one. I'm going to demonstrate this. Public classes with public constructors can expose elements and members from other more restrictive classes to outside package access. Let's just give an example of that here. So in constructor2, in this particular source code file there, right, I have this class with default package access, and I also have a constructor in there with default package access. This is more restrictive here, right? And I also have a method with default package access here. Now, what were to happen if I were to come up here and I were to say extends I am safe in package 2. And let me just make sure I don't have any I'm just going to cut and paste that just in case I had a typo in there. I don't believe I do, but let's save that. So we extend that, right? So then I am safe in package 2 becomes the superclass of constructor 2. And here's where we can run into some dangerous situations here, is when we extend a class that is more restrictive than the current class that we're dealing with. So this is a public class, constructor 2, and we're extending this default class. This default class should, when you create this, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm creating a default class. It'll only be able to ever be accessed from within my package, right? From within package 2. So we should never be able to do any of this stuff outside of package 2. Okay, so when we extend a class that has more restrictive, we expose all of its members, including the constructor element there, to outside access. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll come back here and we'll recompile the original one there, constructor 1, right? And now we'll go ahead and invoke the tester class again. Okay, so we get public constructor in package 1. Now look at this, package 2, default access class with default access constructor with default access method was just accessed in package 1. Method in package 2 exposed outside of package, right? And then we get public constructor in package 2. So we come back up here to tester and we say, okay, what happened there, right? This is primarily what we're concerned there. When we use the new keyword, the new operator, right, it creates an instance of the constructor2 object, right? And it invokes the constructor2 constructor, right? when we come over here to the constructor2 constructor, it invokes this right here, and you're looking at it and you're going, okay, well, it printed off this, right? But what am I missing? Well, the answer to that is you have to remember that if you don't supply the first statement of a constructor always has to be to either super or this. So if you don't put those in, the compiler will implicitly put one in for you. And the super, right, a call to super here says that we're going to invoke the constructor of our super class, I am safe in package 2. That comes down here and invokes this constructor right here, which prints this string literal to the console, prints this string literal to the console, and then invokes its method in package 2 method here, right? So you can see by extending the I am safe in package 2 class here, we just exposed all of these elements, essentially just made everything public there, right? By doing so. All right, so this is one thing that's super easy to overlook there, right? Let's go ahead and just save that. As a matter of fact, you know, let's just put it in there. In a lot of my tutorials, I put it in there. I specifically left it out of Constructor 2. As you'll notice in Constructor 1, I put it in there. I always like to drill into people's heads that this is there, whether it's not. Whether it's there or whether you don't see it. It is definitely there, right? So that's why I made this a little tricky here by not putting it in there. You just have to remember that, in fact, it actually is, right? So even if we compile it, right, and rerun it, right? So basically that's what's going on with that. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this, close out of that, and close out of this, and leave you with a bunch of final thoughts today. Okay, one must learn and understand certain rules in Java. When those rules are not known, overlooked, or ignored, there can be profound effects. For example, the first statement in a constructor must be a call to either super or this. If you do not explicitly code in a super or this statement, then the compiler will implicitly put in a default no argument call to super. If someone does not know that rule, but they learned how to inherit a class by using the extends keyword, well, then they learn just enough to become dangerous. Now, there's an old saying, you need to learn to walk before you can run, and everyone's heard of that, and that applies to programming Java as well. Learning the fundamentals block by block is the key to avoiding frustration and major issues down the road. That concludes this tutorial. Thanks for watching.